How long have you been doing this?
Now we're gonna move on to covering the steering wheel. Now this might take a while. Pretty much all the reviews I had seen said it's very good quality, the steering wheel cover. However, it takes a long time to do, which is understandable. So let me show you my current steering wheel and its condition right now. And I know it's dark in here. It's got the windows tinted. But you can see this is kind of like peeling up. So when I first showed this to you, I think it was covered in paracord, which was disgusting, so I removed it. I mean, the whole wheel is pretty disgusting. But so what I think I'm gonna do, you don't have to remove the old leather, but I think I am, because I think this is gonna start showing up underneath the new stuff. So I'm basically gonna cut all of these stitches out, and then we're gonna remove the old leather and get this new leather installed. So I might have to trim it a bit, I don't know. So we gotta check that out and see how that's gonna be. But you can do this inside the car. You don't have to remove the steering wheel to do this. I'm going to, because it is 106 degrees outside today, and even though I have some very dark tinted windows, it's still pretty hot. So I wanted to show me removing the steering wheel. So the first thing we got to do, we got to remove this airbag, which I think will just come off. I think we have to remove these side panels. Let's see. I don't really know. Oh, it's dusty under there. Yeah, so it looks like, I think it gets removed this way. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna have to look this up on how to remove it. But there's one on each side. So there's one on that side. And then there's one right here by the cruise control stock that comes out. So I'm just making an assumption that this is how this airbag comes off. I think it's those like T40 bits right there. I don't know if you can see. You can kind of see it at the top of the screen there. I think those need to come off in order for the steering wheel to come off. Or, I don't know. But let me do some research how to get this steering wheel off, because I don't know, I've never taken it off. Typically, the airbag needs to come off to get the steering wheel off. So let me look that up, and then I will show you how to do it. All right, guys, looks like I was correct. So it's a T27, and we're just gonna loosen the ones on the side of the steering wheel. If you take the cover off, you'll be able to see it. But it's the one I showed you, and there's one on each side. Apparently, it also honks the horn. Okay, so I think you just loosen that. Not sure how much, but let's get the other side as well. This might actually be a T30, but a T27 works as well. Like I said, I don't know how much we have to loosen them to get them out. I think they come all the way out. So let's see. And before you do this, I recommend you disconnect the battery. But if you're a rebel like me and you don't, just be careful. Be careful, and do not turn the ignition on when the airbag is disconnected from the electrical connector, because you will get an airbag light. So you're better off just disconnecting the negative battery terminal while you do this. Also, you know, an airbag could blow up in your face. Seem to have one side loose. Be great if I could get the other side. There we go. All right, so we are here. It's very dirty underneath here. Doesn't surprise me. So this, we're just going to flip up like so. It's spring loaded, and then this connector just comes right out. There we go. Then when you store an airbag, you always want to store it face up. That way if it goes off, it doesn't launch itself into outer space. I'm going to take that in the house, because if it does go off for whatever reason, I really don't want to mess with that. So another thing with this clock spring. So this is a 19 millimeter. I don't know if I'm gonna need a steering wheel puller. I'm gonna try to do it without it, but who knows. So this is a 19 millimeter bolt nut that needs to come off. So I'm gonna get that. We're gonna disconnect this little connector, and when the steering wheel comes off, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some electrical tape and just tape the clock spring, and I'll show you this part. I'm just gonna tape it down, and keep it where it's at, because you don't want to move that clock spring at all when the steering wheel's off, because if you do, it's going to mess everything up. Your turn signals are going to be off, you can damage the clock spring, and I'm willing to bet that it's pretty much impossible to get a new one. So yeah, definitely do not mess up the clock spring. But I digress. I need a pick tool to get this connector off, and then I'll be back. And then I'll also get my 19. All right, just gonna use a little pick tool to hopefully disconnect this without any problems. And without beeping everything. There we go. All right, now this is probably a little overkill, but I got my 1/2" impact. But look how easy that makes that. Super easy. All right, so now what we also want to do is we want to make a mark at where the steering wheel lines up again, because I don't think this has any significant markings. So I will be back once again to grab a Sharpie and try to mark where the steering wheel actually meets the steering shaft, and then I'll zoom in and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see I made my mark. I basically just shoved a Sharpie down there to actually get the shaft marked. So that's marked, and the reason why we want to do that again is because it needs to go back in a specific direction. So now the tutorial definitely used a steering wheel puller to get this sucker off. I'm going to try to not use that. I'm going to try to use this mallet, but I don't know if that's actually going to work. So I might have to actually go buy one or rent one. I want to say it's moving, but I could also be lying to myself, which is a total possibility. Yeah, she's on there. Well, I might have to get a steering wheel puller. First time ever. Perhaps. Probably best to get a steering wheel puller. I think I've only used a steering wheel puller once in my life. This usually gets the job done, but maybe not today. I may have to take an L and get a steering wheel puller. I don't think she's moving, guys. I'm also trying not to break my switches. Oh, no way. All right, so you can get it with a mallet. So essentially you just have to walk it off on each side and she will eventually work her way off. Just be patient. All right, so now here's what I was saying. We want to make sure we don't move this clock spring. So essentially I'm just going to wipe it off so the tape has something to stick to. And I don't have electrical tape, but I have packing tape. And that might actually be better. But what's kind of cool is that Toyota has 6 turns. That's interesting. I don't know what that means. I should probably read the FSM about that. But what we're gonna do is tape this sucker down so it does not move. It's very important that you don't skip this step. Please, for the love of God. If you don't want to do it for yourself, oops, see, I just turned it. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for me. Okay, guys? I promise you, if you mess up this clock spring, you will have a very bad day. Takes 2 seconds to do this. And that's it. Look, that way I can't rotate it. And it's taped basically to itself into the steering wheel. That just ensures that, I don't know, some freak accident happens and this spins amazingly. Like, it's gonna move a little bit, but luckily Toyota has a little alignment mark right here that you just align that little arrow to, which is pretty sick. So that'll work. This way, this doesn't move all over the place. All right. Now, I'm gonna take this thing inside and we're gonna get to work on cutting the old leather off. First, we're gonna test fit the leather and see how it fits with the leather on. I might have to leave it on. I prefer not to, but anyway, let's get this thing recovered, guys. So we got the steering wheel inside. I did a little test fit and I think we can get away with removing this old leather because there's a little bit of a gap with the leather not removed. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these stitches, just a knife, and then I'm going to time lapse a lot of this because it's going to be probably a couple hours of me fighting with this. But yeah, so let's just get this started. All right, guys, we got the old leather off. This stuff is pretty gross. And I'm gonna leave the padding on, obviously, because it's kind of important. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some wax and grease remover, and I'm gonna clean up all this old adhesive and just dirt and other nastiness. We're gonna clean up this whole steering wheel. All right, guys, I figured this would be a good time to let you guys know that I'm actually doing a giveaway. So it was actually part of my previous video. If you check out the link in my description, it's going to take you to a Google form to fill out some information. Basically just your email address and like what kind of prize you want, right? So right now we only have about 7 to 10 people on the list. So you stand a pretty good shot if you're watching this and you haven't signed up yet. So please go ahead, fill that out. I'd like to get more people. We're going to run it for about 30 days from my last video. But you know, you get more opportunity here. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. The only requirement is you filling out that form and you subscribe to the channel. That's pretty much it. So a note on this part of the install, right? And you'll see in a second after I'm done fitting all this this leather skin over. This kit also comes with double-sided tape, and one side of the tape, well, both sides are, you know, they have a cover on them, obviously, so they don't like stick to each other or whatever. I take off one side of the tape and I put it on the steering wheel itself, right? And I leave the other side on. And the reason why I do that is because I can still adjust the leather in the correct position until I'm ready to actually stick it on. So here you can see they give you a whole roll of it. You have plenty. I think I still have like a bunch of this stuff. So essentially you just want to put tape in the areas where the leather is kind of like loose. So you don't need it on the outside where the leather's stretched over. You just kind of need it on the spokes. You need it on the loose portions of it. And you want to avoid overlapping the double-sided tape with where you're going to actually sew it. So basically just to keep it in place, both when you're sewing it and then, you know, actually when you're using the wheel. Otherwise, that leather has a chance to move on you. So you definitely want to use the double-sided tape. But I just wanted to add that in there because I don't think I have any close-up footage of this. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks, guys. So I got the first section of stitching done. This is going to take a while. That took me about 2 hours for the smallest section, but now I kind of got the hang of it, so I think I can go a little bit faster. But this is the result of the first section. So I imagine once I finish this side and this side, this will clean up a lot more, I hope, because there's a lot of slack on this side, so I have to pull over on this side to kind of balance it out a little bit, but it's kind of hard to see. This is kind of the finished product, and I think it looks pretty good so far. So that's what I got going on. I apologize if the time lapse is off. So the GoPro overheated when I was doing a time lapse, even though I'm inside. Honestly, not very impressed with GoPro, which is why I use the DJI almost exclusively. But it's on another note. Anyway, I'm gonna keep trucking on this, and then once my camera recharges the GoPro, I'll restart the time lapse because I'll still be here, trust me. All right, back to work.
How long have you been doing this?
At least 6 hours.
Your neck is killing you?
Yes. I can't look down anymore. I've lost the ability to look down. Forever.
Oh my god.
Alright guys, just finished up the steering wheel. It's looking pretty good, so it definitely took me a lot longer than I had planned for, but the stitching looks pretty good. I did okay. The fit was like I'd say it's a good like 97% there. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. The back doesn't look as good as the front, but I don't really care. So you can see there's some wrinkles here, and I think that's just my fault. I feel like this could have been like a little bit wider, this little patch of leather right here, but overall, like, it's much better than what was on there, and that was kind of the goal. So I think with this, we can stick this sucker back in the car because it looks pretty good. Alrighty, so we're back in the Land Cruiser. We can remove our tape very carefully. There we go. Set that to the side, make sure we're lined up on this arrow right here. And feed this guy through. Now we have to line up our marks, or mark that we made. Alrighty, we're good there. Plug this guy in, and we'll get our 19 mil nut back on. And I'm just gonna use this guy to get her back in here. Don't need to go crazy. So that's the whole shaft moving around. Okay, so now get the airbag back on. Try not to dirty up the steering wheel. I just spent like 10 hours recovering because that would be dumb. So plug our airbag back in here and close the latch. And can recenter this guy. There we go. All right, dude, that's already looking much better. So it's not perfect. There's some wrinkles right here, but I definitely think it looks much better than it did. And in my opinion, that's gonna be a win. You know, maybe in the future, I might decide to, like, I don't know, have someone professionally recover this. But all in all, not too bad. Being nitpicky. Okay, so in my opinion, this kit is almost 100% where it needs to be. I'd say this is like a good 97% on the money, which is pretty damn good. So if I were to make any changes to this kit, it would probably be to the spokes and this upper portion right here. So I feel like, so this could also be the foam on the steering wheel itself is just worn down because that's where this, you know, was driven at. Because the rest of the fit was perfect after taking the original leather off, right? It's just the top that was a little off, or just a little bit too long on the wraparound, right? So overall, I do like this kit, and I think it's very well done. It is pretty darn close to factory color. So it actually, this matches my dash a little bit better than this center. I bet if I clean this off, it would get even closer. But So overall impressions, I do indeed like the kit, don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of being a little bit of like nitpicky about it because one, for stuff like this, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so it's gonna bug me, I think, for a little bit until I get used to it. But another note on this is the back of the spokes, so the leather on the back here, I feel like it could be wider and then kind of have it trimmed to fit, and I also feel like the spoke length in the back could be longer. Because there's a plastic cover behind the steering wheel, so they don't have to be as short as they are. And again, that might be me. That might be a me problem. I might have like messed up the positioning of the leather and stuff like that, because it's a very important part. To me, it looked fine when I was, you know, gluing it down and everything like that, but, you know, apparently I must have missed something, because, you know, I do think it is pretty damn close to a perfect kit. So if you're on the fence about it, so I'll link it. I got it on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. It was like 60 bucks, I think, with the whole kit. You get plenty of thread. The instructions were pretty straightforward. But yeah, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So I'd say for the first time, it came out pretty damn well. I would probably, like I said, it's just the spoke alignment is kind of like challenging. And I think that might be where I messed up, if I messed up at all. But like I said, it's better than we had on there, and I've got other stuff to do to this. That's gonna wrap it up for us today, guys. So it's actually a couple of months later. So it is now cold every day. And here is how our steering wheel is holding up. So I noticed this is kind of like flattened out quite a bit, which is good. And we're still looking pretty good a couple months later. Granted, the back end still looks like the back end, and it is what it is, but hasn't bothered me so far, hasn't come loose or anything like that. But that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one. Please leave a like, leave a comment, share the video. Check out the links in the description for a bunch of other stuff, including a giveaway that's going on right now. So sign up for it, subscribe to the channel, and peace out, guys. Until next time.